Good evening. Welcome to the call. Tonight we're going to be discussing our in-market leads program, how and why this works. Really show you the nuts and bolts of this, why this is different than anything that you've seen before. My name is Brad Dixon, and I'm with Advanced Marketing Dynamics. We're an agency partner with Direct Hit Media. They're the folks that are actually bringing this program to you. Now, this call is going to be specifically geared toward the auto industry, auto dealers, but the information that's going to be shared will reach across really all verticals and all niches, and you can see how this could apply to your business. So without any further ado, let me turn this over to Tommy Leantonio. Tommy, are you there?
What's cooking? I'm here. So there's two pieces that I want you to think about. You know, there's a lot of things that people use, words people use, big data, machine learning, algorithms, all of this, people-based marketing. But I want to show you how this works. And I want to show you not only how it works, but why it works. Let's start with the basics. Step number one, there's two big major things that are going on in the world today. You're all familiar with the word big data, right? Big data, massive data, come up with all these different terms. But data in and of itself means nothing. Now, data combined with data can produce an insight, okay? And that's insight that we sell. We're in the insight business. So I want to show you how, okay? And we talked about a little bit of it last week, okay? But I want to show you a piece. Think of this as how, like, the combustible engine works. But what I'm about to show you is the future of business. That's not hype. That's not, me, making it sound better than it is. It's a fact, okay? So think about, we create 2.5 quintillion bytes of data. So if you want to understand how an event happens, a phenomenon happens, then you want to look at the data. Now, which type of data for what we're talking about? We're looking at a sale, right? We want to know how to predict an auto sale, right? So when I looked at the audience, there's 250 people or 50,000 people in the stadium, right? Which one of these people are going to buy a car, all right? So we talked about last week how we collect data, right? We're in a 15 billion sensor economy. We collect data. The world is pouring more and more data into the world, creating more and more data every day, pouring into businesses every day. We're on our way from 15 billion sensors to 1 trillion, okay? So a sensor is nothing more than a device that detects information, all right? And with the Internet of Things, they're talking about 100 million devices coming online, and each one of them having anywhere between 10 and 12 sensors, okay? That's the Internet of Things. The future of sensors and networks is the Internet of Things. Now, our mind cannot process all this data and insight, so we use something called machine learning, okay? Now, we've all heard this word. So what is machine learning? Machine learning is nothing more than a system that learns from data, okay? Machines don't learn on their own. They're fed data, okay? Now, this is what I'm going to say, and it's going to sound like hype, but I want you to think about what I'm saying, and I want you to take what I'm saying to heart. Because if you ignore this, you're going to miss one of the largest opportunities in business, okay? Because we are well on our way to a trillion sensor economy, right? Sensors are what brings in, detects information, and sends it in, okay? We have infinite computing. We have massive amounts of networks for that information to flow from the sensors, okay, into, I have computational power today that I didn't have 6 months ago, and 6 months ago, I had more than I had 5 years ago. It just keeps getting cheaper and cheaper. We use Amazon, okay? I don't know if anybody's seen the big announcement this week about Amazon. Amazon made two big announcements this week. One was that they're going to make a purchase of Whole Foods. The second thing they're going to do is they have a program, I think they call it Prime Wardrobe or Wardrobe Prime. Basically what they're going to do is they're going to let you pick anywhere between 5 to 10 pieces of clothes, 15 pieces of clothes, and send it to you. And you get to try it on. And if you don't like any of the pieces, you send it back. because when they send you to close to begin with, it'll have the receipt in a box for you to send it back, right? They're doing all sorts of things using what? Algorithms, right? We're now in the business of outcome prediction, right? An outcome economy, where you're going to use data, big data, but data in and of itself means nothing without analytics. And that's what machine learning is, analytics. So every company competes on data and machine learning to win sales. Every company is going to have to be able to do that. All right? So when someone says, hey, I can get this somewhere else, ask them to see their machine learning algorithm. Ask them how many conversions they've pushed through that, because that's going to give you the only factor, right? We're the only ones that are predicting in market using pre-purchase behavior, URL level navigation. Show me where that exists. And if you can, and there are some, but it's certainly not where you own it, it's where you can use like Blue Kai or something like that for in-market data. We literally give the lead to somebody, okay? I pitched one of the largest agencies today in big pharma. And again, it's not automotive, but you're talking about sophisticated companies. They just made a purchase over $4 billion. And when I showed them what we were doing, I used the automotive example of what's possible. And I said to them, it's really simple. We use behavior, right? That's it. Once you have the behavior of what somebody did before a purchase, okay, then you can predict accurately by modeling that behavior, right? Because when we submitted Sid's path to purchase to the algorithm, and then we put the second one and the 50th one, what the software does is it looks for trends. It looks for patterns. It builds a model. Think of it like a signal to look at all of the 10 to 15 billion pieces of data that we utilize to make a prediction.
By the way, the guy doing the big data stuff says Tommy's way ahead of his curve.
Well, again, you know, and I want everybody to understand this. I really am a layman. I am. But it's not rocket science. It really isn't. And I say that not to, you know, to pat myself on the back like I figured out something, because it's all simple when you use logic. When I show this to you, I think it'll really help you understand some really cool things. And this is just a smidgen of, here we go, they're opening now. This is just a smidgen, all right? We bring in a lot of data for people. So as an example, and again, this isn't from every source. This doesn't go into everything, okay? But just to give you an idea, here's a guy. We're tracking where the device is. So the 901 zip code, right, was where it started. So the first thing we have was GameFAQs, Call of Duty, which lets me think maybe this kid's young, all right? This is a younger person, maybe even in college, all right? So we looked up the zip codes, and I'll show you the zip codes down here at the bottom. It's actually in the upper northwest, and I think it was Wyoming, which borders the state of Utah. They're looking for used SUVs in Stockbridge, Georgia, at Edmonds, right, all through the 7th, a ton of behavior. Like you'll see, this is just some of the behavior. It says used SUV, but he does get into some search here. It's not in this spreadsheet. Guys, the amount of behavior somebody has over a 30-day period, this is just one small source that we get it from. We have hundreds, and hundreds, literally. And so it's just to kind of show you there's a lot of behavior that goes into this, right? So he keeps looking. He's in Stockbridge, right, looking for a used SUV. I mean, is this guy in the market for a car? Look at all this behavior. You know, there were up to 200 lines of behavior. This person is spending huge amounts of time, you know, rifling all around. Then he goes on the next day, he goes to KBB, right, and he's looking up an Optima. Then he's looking up a Hyundai Sonata. He goes from a Kia Optima to a Sonata to a Nissan Maxima.
To send money at Walmart to his buddy in prison.
Yeah, right. So, well, here's the really cool part. Now, you tell me what you think he's about to do next. Okay? Just use your common sense logic to look at this. All right? He starts going to Walmart, right? Excuse me, starts going to Best Buy, and look at what he's looking on Best Buy. A Dell Precision, a laptop. Now he goes to eBay, again looking for a mobile workstation, a laptop, excuse me. Back to Walmart, back to eBay, back to Best Buy. Then he goes to Newegg, then back to Best Buy, eBay again, excuse me, all for laptop stuff, okay? Then he files his tax returns late because it's April 20th, and he looks up filing a late tax return. So we know that this person's filed a late tax return. He's in the market for a laptop. Then he's looking at cheapo air. He went to school in Utah. Now, how do I know he went to school? Well, look what he does at cheapo air. He's looking for air listings. Now, we looked that up. He's looking for flights back to Georgia. But then look what he does down at the bottom. He starts looking for deals for student travel. There's a college kid who was in the market. Now, here's the funny thing. On April 21st, all his behavior stopped. Want to know why? Because he bought his laptop, and he cleared all his cookies, and we weren't able to track his ass anymore. But, I mean, just to kind of give you an idea of, you know, understanding where somebody is in their purchase of a car. I mean, is it very difficult to see this person's looking to move, you know, to travel to the Bahamas? You know, then they're looking at, you know, things on Realtor.com. Now, I looked this up. This guy's into commercial real estate. He's an investor. These aren't residential real estate listings in Summit, New Jersey. Then he goes into carsforsale.com, and he's looking in St. George, Utah, even though he was from Texas, right? But look at this. The behavior when he was looking all this up, these are New York zip codes, okay? Hauppauge, where I used to have an office back in the day, all right? And then he got back on a plane, and now he's back in Utah for the 84104 zip codes, okay?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, you know, it's hard to tell what kind of car he's looking at. We looked all these up, and you could tell exactly what car he's in the market for. So what our system does is it looks all that stuff up, all right? Just to kind of give you an idea.
So when you send, like if a dealer signs up and you send them the list, is it just a list of the hashtags or
Yeah, just the hashes. Just the hashes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I just wanted everybody to see the URL level so you can see the path to purchase.
Yep.
I mean, I joke around, man. I hope no one's blind on the call, but I mean, Stevie Wonder could see this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guy's in the market for a car. So when you feed that kind of correct information into an algorithm, it would ignore all the stuff about laptop purchases because the second sale and the 40th sale and the 50th sale. I not only know who's in market, but I know which ones are yours and which ones are your competitors. Scale of 1 to 10, you know, how important is this? You know, how big of a deal is it for you to get to 110? Are you just fielding a call today because you like to take calls, or are you seriously looking for a solution? A guy asked me 2 days ago, he said, if you have what you say you have, why aren't you all over the internet? And I go, listen, this is not for everybody. There are 23 million companies in the United States. Did you know that? 22 million of which do less than $1 million. This is built specifically for somebody that is driving paid media and converting paid media. That means that it's not for all 23 million. So why would I be advertising to them? I choose my clients. So the guy I spoke to today, one of the appointments I had today, spending $12 a click. We tracked him down. How many of your past customers are right now shopping for a car and you're not even aware of it? How many of your competitors' cars sales are shopping for a car that are just waiting for you to snap them up? You're telling me you're not interested in that? You're telling me this wouldn't have a bearing on your profits, grow your sales? All right. Can you guys see my screen now?
Read all, man.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a hash. It's a long string of numbers and letters. Okay, it's a SHA-256 lowercase. Now, this is the lead score. So these are all 6s and 5s, and then this guy is a 7. All right.
Yeah.
This is a brand new file.
So are your sixes strong too?
But like for when it comes to in funnel, it's really 7 or higher. So that's but yeah, no, like honestly, this is an early lead score, so these are pretty strong that they're all in the 5s and 6 range.
Oh, early lead score. So in funnel, we're talking 7 and above. I got you.
Yeah. So this is a brand new file. Here's another 7.
Yeah, those all look really good actually for a brand new file.
I mean, it's maybe like a week or two, but think of it like this. The way we lead score, and this is early, and the reason we do it is so that guys can know which ones are in funnel and which ones aren't. But it's really not designed for, here's another 7. This is as good as a lead score you can get without it actually being on page.
Can you expand the A column? Like, can we see the whole hash or no?
No, I can't because someone takes a screenshot, you'll be able to know who these people are, and I'd rather not.
Okay.
All right, man. Hey, Tommy, thank you so much for your time, and
No problem.
everybody else, thank you so much for your time.